Okay, let's dive into one of the most profound and hopeful works to ever come out of the Middle Ages. We're talking about a time of incredible darkness, and yet a message of pure light emerged from the most unlikely of places, a small, sealed room attached to a church.
So today, we're going to explore this radical vision of divine love, one that basically threw a lifeline to a world that felt like it was drowning in despair. This is the story of a mystic named Julian of Norwich and her revelations of divine love. Now, to really get why Julian's message was so revolutionary, you first have to understand the world she was born into. And to put it mildly, it was a world teetering right on the edge of collapse.
I mean, this wasn't just a difficult time. For a lot of people, it felt completely apocalyptic. You had the 100 Years' War bringing just constant, brutal violence. Then the Black Death shows up and wipes out, in some places, half the population. It left people in a state of absolute shock and terror. And if that wasn't enough, the Great Schism fractured the church itself, creating this massive spiritual uncertainty.
So how did people make sense of all this? Well, the prevailing view offered very little comfort. All this suffering, the disease, the war, the famine, it wasn't seen as just random tragedy. No, it was interpreted as righteous punishment from an angry, vengeful God. It was a theology built on fear, one that just confirmed that humanity was fallen and deserved everything it got. So in a world like that, where on earth could you possibly find hope?
Well, the answer came from a deeply, deeply unlikely source. A woman we only know as Julian, who was living as a religious recluse, an anchoress, in the bustling English city of Norwich.
Now, what exactly is an anchoress? This was a life of extreme prayer and solitude. I mean, an anchoress was literally sealed into her cell for life. It was a kind of living entombment chosen to pursue this deep, uninterrupted connection with God, completely cut off from all the chaos of the outside world.
So from this moment of near death, this incredible, life-altering work was born. As she lay paralyzed, thinking these were her last moments, gazing at a crucifix held by a priest, she suddenly experienced 16 powerful revelations. And these shewings, as she called them, offered a completely different vision of God.
So what did Julian see in her visions? What was this big revelation? Well, she saw a God not of wrath and judgment, but of radical, unconditional, and just all-encompassing love.
You know, after 15 years of just pondering these complex visions, Julian came to this stunningly simple conclusion. Everything, creation, the crucifixion, all the suffering, salvation, it was all rooted in one single powerful reality, divine love. That was the point of it all.
This is her most famous line, and it is just a profound statement of trust in God's goodness, spoken right into a world that seemed to be completely falling apart. Think about it. In an age that was convinced it was being punished, Julian declared that the final reality isn't wrath, but a love so powerful it would ultimately make every single thing right.
And if that wasn't revolutionary enough, Julian also used this groundbreaking metaphor. She described Christ not just as a Lord, but as a mother who gives us life, who nurtures us when we fall, and who never, ever stops loving us. She actually wrote, God, all wisdom, is our nature's mother. It was this deeply intimate, tender, and unconditional image of the divine.
Okay, but here's the big theological question, right? If God is all-loving, then what about sin? How did her theology deal with human failure? This was a central problem for her, one she really wrestled with for years. And this is where Julian's thinking was just so innovative. See, the dominant view at the time saw sin as this permanent stain that deserved punishment. But Julian saw it totally differently. To her, sin had no real substance. It was a kind of nothingness, an absence of good. You know, like darkness is just the absence of light? For Julian, sin was a void that God's love doesn't punish, but instead rushes in to fill and to heal.
So for Julian, our stumbles and our mistakes, they aren't a cause for despair. Actually, it's the opposite. It's only by experiencing our own weakness that we can fully, truly comprehend the strength and tenderness of God's mercy. In her view, our falling is what actually leads to our rising, even stronger than before.
So, centuries later, why are we still talking about this medieval mystic? Why does she still matter? Well, Julian's work is so much more than a historical curiosity. It's a timeless spiritual classic.
I mean, for one, she was a true pioneer. She's the first woman known to have written a book in English, which is incredible in itself. But she was also a profound theologian. Her insights on compassion, on hope, and on the nature of God, they resonate so powerfully even today. Her work feels both ancient and incredibly modern at the same time.
Her revelations really suggest that even in the absolute darkest of nights, the ultimate reality isn't chaos or wrath. It's a love that holds us securely, promising that in the end, all shall be well.
This is for entertainment and educational purposes only.